Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Never Thirst Again. I'm your podcast host, Chrissy Smith, and boy, do I have another really good one for you today. And it's funny because this is actually something that happened almost 10 years ago, and it stuck with me all this time. So let me just paint the picture here for you guys. Kelvin and I were newlyweds, and we were also in the middle of trying to start an app development company from the ground up. Well, we were still in the very beginning stages of everything. So that in itself was taking a lot of time. It was taking a lot of energy, and it was taking a lot of effort to get the ball rolling. Now, there were a lot of things that we just really didn't have at the time, including any type of official office equipment. Basically, we had to do a lot of things the long way around. And that included us going all the way to the public library or wherever else we could to print stacks of paper because we just didn't have our own printer at the time. Well, I remember one day having to do just that. You see, we had really needed to get some important papers printed and signed on that very day. So I wasted no time running into our public library, which was not too far away from us, but I used their printers and paying about maybe 10 cents a page at the time, which I remember thinking to myself, gosh, that's ridiculous. It's paper and it's ink. But you know what? Nevertheless, we did what we had to do to get it all done. And while I was there waiting on all the pages to print, unbeknownst to me, it had started a huge downpour outside. And it wasn't like a little drizzle here or there. It was just an outright, full-on downpour in the middle of spring. Meanwhile, I'm standing there, no umbrella, no raincoat, no galoshes, no nothing. Like, it was just like the sky opened up and a whole ocean just fell out of the sky. And that is the only way that I could describe it. And so I remember when I walked out the building, I stood under the little port area for a few minutes, just thinking to myself, you know, I might as well just stand here for a little while and see if the rain lets up, because there's no way I'm making a dash for it. I hadn't even parked close enough to the building to be able to make a dash for it across the parking lot. So there's no way that was happening. And plus, my papers would have gotten soaked in the process. So needless to say, I must have stood there for about close to 10 minutes or so when a dark green 1995 Buick LeSabre pulled up right in front of the entrance. And goodness, even if I close my eyes right now, I could still see that car pulling up right there in front of me. So when the door on the driver's side swung open, I remember just this dark blue umbrella popping right out of the top of it. And I couldn't quite see the face of the person because they were so short, but I could see the top part of a wide-brimmed hat. When this person got out of the car, I remember they slammed the door shut and started walking a little bit closer. And that's when I saw that it was an elderly gentleman who was limping just a little bit. He had a walking cane in one hand, and he had that dark blue umbrella in the other. To this day, I still remember hearing that sweet little Southern accent. I feel like it's okay for me to say that because I'm from the South, so we recognize these things. But when he got a little bit closer to me and he came under that port, I just remembered him saying, "Hey there, darling." And with a really big smile, I just said, "Hello, sir." He said back to me, he said, "You waiting on that rain to let up so you can get to your car, honey?" And again, I answered him with a yes, sir, before he sort of countered back, and he said, "Well, darling, I ain't gonna let you get soaked in this here rain. You come on over here and let me walk you to your car." And so I have to be honest. I just thought it was just so sweet, and I was absolutely delighted. I was also surprised though that this elderly gentleman with the walking stick and an umbrella actually wanted to walk me to my car. That meant that he was okay with going back out in the rain and taking another trip back up there, back up under the port and into the library. So he didn't mind just going out of his way for me. Now, believe it or not, when he asked me this, I actually told him that I didn't mind waiting for the rain to let up a little bit, but he had absolutely insisted on walking me to my car. So the two of us, we huddled up together under his umbrella and we just went for it. And needless to say, we did get to my car, and when I opened the door and I slid my legs in, I sat all of the papers on the passenger seat, and I remembered looking up at him with just a really big smile just to say, "Sir, thank you so much for walking me to my car." It's so nice to know that Chivalry is still alive and still kicking. And I remember he actually giggled about that for a minute, and he said something in that moment that I'll never forget. He looked at me and he uttered these words. "Well, I tell you what, darling, I'm 73 years old and I've been married to my beautiful wife for 52 years. And let me tell you something. If I wasn't around and my wife was somewhere stuck in the rain, I want somebody to do the same thing for her that I did for you. So you be blessed now. Go on to your family and drive safely, okay?" And oh goodness, I just remember my heart absolutely melted in that moment. I mean, what a wonderful thing it was for him to say. The thought that he'd want to make sure that his wife was taken care of, even if it was by a stranger, at a time where he wasn't around. It was just, again, really, really nice. It was really sweet of him to even think that way. And he had wasted no time doing that very thing for me, But I think about that kind of sweet gesture. At that time, I hadn't seen anything like that happen in so long from a stranger, no less. And it just made my heart completely full. But I tell you what, that little old man who was walking with that cane and the umbrella, who decided to swoop in and save this girl from a downpour. I don't know if he knows this or not, or if he understood it, but he absolutely created a wonderful, lasting memory for me. And you know what, though? I don't know where that man is, or even if he's still alive, but wherever he is, I do pray that God blesses him 100-fold for the kindness that he showed to me on that day, because he really was an angel in disguise. Well, friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope that as you go throughout the remainder of this week, you're reminded of two very special things from this. Firstly, chivalry is absolutely not dead. It does still exist, and it counts for so much when that type of kindness is shown to someone. And secondly, let your heart lead you to make someone else's rainy day into a sunny one. Thanks for joining in with me today, guys. Have an amazing day, a wonderful rest of your week. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, Never Thirst Again. You can do that through Podbean, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thanks again, everybody. God bless and take care.